let's talk about Laura Tingle for a moment or two's time, because, of course, they're all out there to defend her because she's a high priestess of the ABC and she's beyond commentary, beyond ridicule. Her statement yesterday was that any sort of criticism of her calling the country racist, or, more importantly, in my view, this fantasy that in the suburbs, evil white people are going to turn on people who look different, whatever that means, when they're bidding at auctions because of Peter Dutton and his cuts to immigration, which are racist, but Albo's cuts to immigration, completely fine. Makes sense, right? Peter Dutton, understandably, responded in the way that he should have with Ray Hadley this morning on 2GB.
Laura Tingle's outed herself now as somebody who is a partisan. She's a Green/Labor supporter. She is political in nature, and therefore her credibility as a journalist really is shot.
And surprise, surprise, her boss is giving her a cuddle because she did nothing wrong. Well, she did nothing wrong.
A mature nation, regardless of political views, should be able to discuss such issues in a respectful and intelligent way. The ABC's role and the work of our journalists like Ms Tingle is to help facilitate those debates on our platforms. Finally, Ms Tingle does not deserve the ferocity and frankly vicious attacks that we've seen this week.
Okay, Michael. Later in Senate estimates, which has been happening tonight, it's a News Corp pile on all of that garbage, right? Despite the fact that it's been covered by every media outlet, but whatever, right? We know it's everything that's wrong with the institution, but again, it's another example about how the institutions of the left, who are happy to criticise and tear apart anyone else, to be the serious umpire and the comedic gestures about the people that they don't like at times. But if you dare push back on them, it's not helpful to me, it's not helpful to the national debate. As my boss often says to me, if you lead with your chin, somebody's going to have a swing at it, right? So she leads with her chin, the same thing is going to take place. So you either say, bugger you, or yep, fair cop. That's the two options, not, I'm the victim here.
Well, firstly, mate, David Anderson, as we've said on this show before, he's just a number 11 batsman.
Yeah.
He's a night watchman. He's gone in there's a couple down, it's 5 to 6. You just send David in with a few lines. He never troubles the scorer. He bats everything away. He's a nothing. David's not running that show. He's a cork in the ocean. David would go home to his family and say, listen, there's nothing I do at the ABC. I had to front up this Senate thing today and I just batted them away with a few words. The staff are running the ABC. They have for years. They have when I was on the board. I think what's happened here is this. Laura has, for once and for all, for anyone who was in any doubt, proved herself to be a member of the left. Her politics are probably between the left of the Labor Party and the Greens. And people look at her now on the 7:30 report and think you're not impartial. You're just part of the hard left at the ABC. It's one of the reasons why no one who watches politics seriously thinks of the ABC as anything like impartial or independent. Of course, they've got their cheer squad, the Friends of the ABC, etc., and they coterie around them with the hard left that always want to defend the ABC. But the bottom line is, mate, the ABC are not impartial. Everybody knows that. It's one of the reasons their ratings have gone down successively, that disastrous Q&A program. ABC News and Current Affairs, ABC Radio, it's all deteriorating because people don't trust the ABC's independence and impartiality, and Laura just proved that. And David Anderson proved just once again in the Senate today, whilst he's not up to the job of being managing director.
Kirsty, I completely agree with what Peter Dutton said today. I completely agree with what Michael just said about David Anderson. But if you need to win Teal seats back, don't Teal voters listen to the ABC? And the Liberal Party has to be careful about how it goes after criticism of the high priestesses of the ABC. I just say that as if you are planning on getting anywhere near 76 seats, there are some that are watching the institutions that are as corrupted intellectually as that one.
Well, that's true, and there's a debate, Paul, and I often have this discussion. There's two schools of thought in the Liberal Party. One is let's forsake the Teal vote and we'll win seats in Western Sydney and we'll win McEwen here in Melbourne and we'll win other outer metropolitan and regional seats that we don't already hold. There's another school of thought, the moderate view, which is there's no path to government unless we win back the teal seats, and that is the nexus of how far the coalition's discourse can go in attacking institutions, which wholeheartedly, if you've got journalists masquerading as spokespeople for their own views, everybody knows the caveat to place is these are my personal views. Likewise, if you want to transition out of being a journalist and out of adhering to the journalistic code of ethics, become a commentator, and you're more than free to express your own views in that role. So there are a number of avenues here for the journalist in question. There's a number of avenues for the ABC. But of course, yes, you are entirely correct in your assessment that there is a deep faction in the coalition saying, let's not go too hard, let's not be too aggressive, let's not speak aggressively, it alienates women. And then there are others that say, let's go for broke, we'll win Western Sydney. They all voted no for The Voice. Who knows where the answer is? Somewhere in the middle, I think.
Yeah, I think, Michael, the middle in all of this is that you should always appear in as many places as possible, right? One of the reasons why politicians love FM radio is because that's compulsory voter land, right? I love the people of the left who will engage with Sky News. It's important. As Bill Maher talks about in the United States about going on Fox News, right? Conversely, it's important that people of the centre-right go on Radio National and go, and yeah, okay, they might be beaten up and all the rest of it, but you've got to say, I'm not here for the host, I'm here for the audience, right? So I think that, okay, Peter Dutton should always continue to engage with the ABC, but if he wants to give them a little smack every now and then, we're saying, well, obviously you'll ask me that question, but we all know what your view is. If he says something like that, then that's okay. But I wouldn't be in the ban, never go on, never take their calls, don't go on their airwaves kind of camp.
Well, can I just add, that's a Daniel Andrews trick here in Victoria with 3AW.
Oh, 100%.
He does implement bans. Labor leaders implement bans.
Great.
How did that work, by the way?
Well,
No, not a great point. How did that work, by the way?
Well, he did win a few.
Yes, well, it's left. Yeah, yeah, but well.
I think Andrews might have won a few more. The bottom line is, you're right. You shouldn't ban. You shouldn't ignore or boycott any ABC program except Q&A.
Yeah.
There's no point going on Q&A. Long story, but there's no point, right? There is no point. But you know, Laura's damaged herself. Why, by the way, the ABC lets its presenters go to these far left?
That's the point. I'd say no side gigs. No more side gigs.
Don't go to no more going to these hard left, these extreme left writers' festivals, which are just sort of the old, you know, Vietnam Brigade all dressed up with scarves and
all the Howard haters are there.
In their 70s and 80s. All the Howard haters, all the Philip Adams, all the people that used to buy Jim Cairns books. It's the same old mob that's been going to these hard left writers' festivals for decades. Time for the ABC people to stop attending them.
Well, it's a grey-haired Q&A.